Welcome to episode 9 of the Ben 10 podcast. Today I am joined with...
Hey guys, it's me, Jake, from Paradox Multimedia.
Alright. What do you do on your YouTube channel, Jake?
I create original music and also record gameplay of various games.
Alright. Is there any videos in particular you want to plug?
A song I put out a little while ago called New Atmosphere. It was a collaboration I did with another music channel called Paul Capricorn. It was a pretty cool collaboration, and I think it's one of my best songs yet.
Alright. So, today on the Ben 10 podcast, we're going to talk about the episode Truth, which is the first episode of Season 2 of the original series. But before that, there was some pretty big news that happened 2 weeks ago that, I made a video about it, but I didn't really talk much about it, which is, of course, the news article about the live-action Ben 10 series. You want to talk about that?
I saw about that. I'm not entirely sure how I feel about it, because while it would be cool to see it, taking into account Alien Swarm and Race Against Time and how they've handled a lot of the live-action stuff, I'm kind of on the fence on whether it would be good or not.
Yeah, here's how I look at it. I don't want to compare the idea of a live-action Ben 10 series to those movies. I want to compare it to good things and think, maybe if they just try to do this, then it'll be good. Like Doctor Who. Could you imagine if the visual effects artist for Doctor Who to do this? That would be awesome.
That would be pretty good. I haven't seen much of Doctor Who, but what I have seen, their visual effects are quite good.
Yeah. Yeah. What I want from the series: no child actors. Just no. Let's get teenage Ben back.
I suppose it would kind of depend on where they're going with it. We don't really need to see a young 10-year-old Ben Tennyson again, because that's been done in both the original series and the reboot currently, and he's been brought back multiple times throughout Alien Force, Ultimate Alien, and Omniverse. And it would be nice to see some new stuff having to do with Ben as a teenager, or even between, the original series and Alien Force even, because that's 5 whole years that we don't really know anything about. Aside from, what was his name? Feedback. Aside from, Feedback when he was 11 years old, him losing him, there's really not much we know about that time period.
Well, technically in that time period between Alien Force and the original series, the Secret Saturdays TV show takes place.
I actually didn't know that.
Yeah. Because the crossover episode takes place 3 years after the end of the Secret Saturdays. And at the beginning of that show, Zach is 11 years old, and at the end he's 13. So he's basically the same age as Ben.
I see.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I agree that I would like to see a TV show, another one other than Secret Saturdays, between Alien Force and the original series. That's why I want the Kevin 11 series to be, if that happens.
That would be interesting as well, because, similar thing with Kevin, we got to see a little bit of, what happened to him in Alien Force a little bit, while he was in a Novoid. But that felt like a kind of weird story for him. Him being taken under the wing of this random guy who's also in the Null Void. Not to mention, it seemed weird for the Null Void to go from, just this random dimension where they sent aliens and criminals and stuff to suddenly, like, having a proper kind of prison camp in it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I couldn't hear you for like 2 minutes. I'm not sure if you even heard me.
I didn't see your thing light up on Discord, but that might have been my connection a little bit. I was saying that it was kind of weird how they kind of just retconned the null void between Alien Force, Ultimate Alien. I can't remember which series it was that it showed Kevin's past in the null void.
In Ultimate Alien, we saw one episode where we saw him get cured from his mutation and his friend die inside a null void prison. And then in Omniverse, we got to see... Well, spoilers for Benton Omniverse. If anybody's watching this video and they have not seen all of Benton Omniverse, skip ahead a few minutes. I'll probably put a time stamp in the description.
Yeah.
But in Benton Omniverse, we found out that he, after he escaped the prison, but it was still in the null void, he joined a group called the Rooters, and they messed with his memories, and they're probably, like, we don't actually see Kevin outside of the null void in flashback episodes, but at the end of them, he always gets sent back to the null void. So we don't really have a definitive answer yet on like how he got outside of the null void and how he got into space and all that.
Yeah.
For the 5 years between the original series and Alien Force.
That actually makes me think of something. What if there was just like this short spin-off series where it's like Kevin before the first episode of Alien Force, where he's just in the alien crime circles or whatever, doing weapons deals and all that stuff, just leading up to the point when Ben just kind of ruins everything for him.
Yeah, that's what I want from the Kevin Levin spin-off. I want to see Kevin in the criminal underworld. Underworld, but not in Undertown itself.
Oh no, that wouldn't come. That wouldn't come for years.
Yeah, inside of the intergalactic criminal underworld, I guess. And of course, have Arjit be his sidekick, basically.
It would be interesting to see how he met Arjit, because they seem to have a kind of...
They met inside the null void.
Well, yes, according to that. But I mean... Again, it's kind of weird with the continuity of it.
Yeah. The first episode of the Kevin 11 should be Kevin escaping the null void with Arjit and then going around the universe.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah. That's what I want from the spinoff. Make it when Kevin was like 14 or 13, and yeah, do that.
Yo, Kevin Levin was just 14. Oh, man.
Anyway, so there's our thoughts on the Kevin 11 spin-off rumor. Let's talk about the live-action one again. So, yeah, one detail that's important that people don't really talk about a whole lot is that, according to the article, it probably won't be on Cartoon Network, but instead it'll be on Warner Brothers' upcoming streaming service, Warner Media.
Huh.
Which that tells me that this spin-off, or this live-action series, may not actually be a replacement for the current reboot, and may just be something for older fans on the streaming service, because if it actually is on the streaming service, then like what will be on Cartoon Network? Because Cartoon Network always just wants more Ben 10 shows playing all the time.
Yeah. At least it's somewhat better than the huge onslaught that was Teen Titans Go a couple of years ago.
Teen Titans Go still airing.
Oh no, I know it's still airing. That's not what I meant. Like, when I first kind of got back in, well, I wasn't really in the Ben 10 community until a couple of years ago. But when I first got into everything and joined Kuro's server and everything, a lot of people were just like, Teen Titans Go is taking over Cartoon Network, and then they were just showing time slots, just everything filled with Teen Titans Go, and every other one, maybe there was another show, and then it's just Teen Titans Go marathon for 3 weeks. Why?
It has improved, though, last year. That was mostly in 2016, 2017, where Teen Titans Go was taking over the network.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, though, Cartoon Network doesn't like airing a lot of their current shows that are actually good. OKKO hasn't actually aired on TV in months. Yeah. Could they in December they released an episode on their app, and we haven't seen anything since. I still haven't actually watched that episode. So yeah, they can still work to improve their schedule, air OKKO, so more people will get into the show. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, do you have anything else you want to say about the live-action Ben 10 series?
I don't think I have anything else to say about it at this time. There's not really a whole lot of information to go off of, so it's kind of just speculation and saying what we would and wouldn't like to see with it, but...
I would not want to see Tom Holland be a Ben. I don't
Not Tom Holland, but somebody kind of like him, because I feel like the problem with filling younger roles like this is that they tend to pick people that are way older, and I know Tom Holland is 21, 22, but still, he looks young, he acts a lot younger versus Tobey Maguire with the original Spider-Man series, where he looked young, he could have been a teenager, but at the same time, you could kind of tell that he was a lot older than the role maybe called for.
Well, in the sequel, he was already living in his own apartment, I think. Yeah.
But yeah, if they could find more young people to play young roles, not kids, but not 20, 30-year-olds who look like they're still in high school.
22 should be the max age.
Yeah. I just think it'd be nice to see, like I said, just younger actors playing younger roles. With voice acting, that's kind of whatever, but when it's live action, you really should try to go for as close to what the character's supposed to be as possible.
Maybe they should just cast Kuro to be Ben.
Dude, if it was something like around Alien Force, what would they do for Professor Paradox?
Oh, that would...
I can't even imagine. I can kind of think, and I'm not entirely sure how they would do this, but imagine if they took, what was it, the 12th Doctor? The one who is Scottish and, the older guy? What if they had him as Paradox?
I think the 12th Doctor was Matt Smith.
He is the 11th. I remember because my sister was always obsessed with David Tennant, who's the 10th Doctor.
Okay, yeah, you're right. I was thinking David Tennant was the 11th. I'm not caught up in Doctor Who at all.
Like I said, I haven't seen much of it. Just my sister was a huge nerd for it several years ago, so I kind of got sucked into it a little bit.
Anyway, yeah. Just get David Tennant to play Professor Paradox, and I'll be happy.
Maybe. We'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens.
Yeah. Also, Paul Lighting. I've been saying this for a while now, but I really think that he can play Grandpa Max in live action. He looks like Grandpa Max. If you've seen photos of him.
Just give him the right shirt.
Yeah, we've seen him wear the shirt in photos. He looks like Grandpa Max. Yeah. Um, I don't know what 10 aliens would you want to see real quick?
In the series,
Yeah.
putting me on the spot a bit. Definitely gray matter. Need a smart alien in there. Well, brainstorm's neat. I mean, choosing between the two, gray matter is kind of the.
Hopefully we don't get transformation like in Race Against Time with gray matter.
At the time, CGI was still kind of weird. I mean, I don't think the people working with it quite knew what they were doing with the designs of the aliens and trying to translate them properly. But seeing how CGI has developed and improved over the last, 19 years. Well, I suppose it wasn't quite that long ago, but still, at least the last 10 years, CGI has come a long way.
Yeah.
Well, let me see. Say gray matter, forearms, upgrade. Way big would be interesting to see how they did that. I don't think he's been in live action, has he?
Way Big has not been in live action, no. Here's what I just want. 4 original series, 4 Alien Force, and then 2 new ones for the original 10 lineup.
That's a pretty good standard to go for.
Yeah.
Well, I already named 4 OS aliens. Going from there, I'd probably say Chromastone, Jet Ray, Spider Monkey, and Goop. And then I think Feedback would be cool. And then this is a tough one. Trying to think of the last alien I would go for. I guess cheating a little bit, I would go for Snarrow. That's what would be my 10. Oh, okay.
Yeah, now I can hear you. Okay.
Okay, so
what was your choices, real quick?
My choices were Gray Matter, Forearms, Upgrade, Way Big, Spider Monkey. Try and remember these guys. Shoot. I think I said Jet Ray. Come on. Goop. What was my last Alien Force alien?
It wasn't Alien X, was it?
No, I didn't pick Alien X for any of them.
Did you say Chromastone?
Chromastone, right. So, him, Spider Monkey, Jet Ray from Alien Force, Gray Matter. Dang it, why am I having such a bad memory? Anyways, I'm pretty sure the recording got him. And then my last 2 were Feedback, and then I decided to cheat a little bit and go for Snarrow as well.
Okay.
So that was my 10.
Not including any spaces for brand new aliens, okay.
I mean, there could be brand new aliens. Ben 10 has never just been, there's only 10 aliens. Maybe Feedback disappears again, you don't know.
Okay. Anyway, so for my picks, I really want to get into the episode discussion, so I'll just say, I was thinking about Wrath, and I'm not sure if he would work in live action, just because his personality is so cartoony, it probably wouldn't work, unless if you got the animators for Rocket Raccoon doing it. You know?
Yeah.
So Wrath probably wouldn't work. And also just want to see Upgrade because he's my favorite alien. Like, imagine how cool that would be if they got a good budget for just seeing upgrade merging with technology, upgrading it in real life. That would be insane.
That would be pretty cool. I don't remember. Did I say upgrade for one of mine? I don't think I did. I don't know.
Let's get into the episode discussion now.
Yay!
Alright, you want to do a summary of the episode?
Sure. So, in the episode, True...
Oh, hold on, before we do this episode summary, first we should probably talk about what happened at the end of the previous episode, since this one picks up right after that. Alright, so I'll do that.
Okay.
So... Ben fights a big, scary alien named Vilgax. Vilgax tries to take the Omnitrix, and then Grandpa Max rescues Ben from Vilgax, and we found out that Grandpa Max has been hiding a secret for a long time. He even knew who Vilgax was. He recognized him. So everybody's like, hey, you gotta explain to us how you knew where this secret base was at Mount Rushmore and had a giant laser gun and used it to battle Vilgax and you recognized each other. So then he does that at the beginning of this episode.
Yeah, so the episode starts out with a little bit of a flashback for Grandpa Max with him and his old buddy Phil fighting Vilgax and actually taking him down all those years ago. And it's kind of a cool sequence.
I really like the way Max's face looked in this episode.
It was an interesting way to look. My biggest issue is the fact that Max didn't... Because there was this little robot thing that Vilgax had plug itself into the launch console for these missiles at this military base, and had it all set to launch. My problem is that why didn't Max just shoot the thing, then shoot the gun out of Vilgax's hand, or do the other way around in quick succession? It wouldn't have taken that long to shoot the robot.
Maybe it was too late, and as soon as the robot plugged it in, it already did the thing, and you couldn't just blow up the robot and then reverse it. The missiles were probably already launching by the time he would be able to react, maybe?
Possibly, but seeing how Max is able to fight, heck, how he's even just, like, kick the gun up so that he can catch it and then shoot it at them, without Vilgax somehow being able to react to it, I don't think it would have been too out of the realm of possibility for that to have happened.
I don't know. Anyway, what I was going to say about Max is that they made young Max look way better in Ultimate Alien for the flashback episode in that show.
I can imagine they did, because they probably had a little more to go off with after like introducing Ben's parents, how they look, and then thinking, well, this is probably not quite how Max would have looked when he was younger.
Okay. Anyway, you can go back to your summary.
So after that, we come back to the present, and we find Ben excited that his grandpa was actually cool, and that Gwen is upset that Max never told them this in the past, which is kind of not something you just tell your grandchildren for no reason. I mean,
well, war veterans like to tell their children about what they were like when they were fighting in World War II, so...
But you don't hear, like, Vietnam veterans talking about every experience they had over there to just any and everybody, especially to their grandkids.
Okay.
And that's a little more what I kind of think of with that, because he wasn't just fighting people, he was fighting, like, actual threats to the planet. Not just, like, people trying to take over countries. But anyways, that's neither here nor there with this.
You may continue.
So, after that, Max pulls over to the sounds of sirens, and I thought that he was, like, getting pulled over by a cop. No, there's ambulances and fire trucks going by for some reason, and Ben decides, I'm gonna be a hero, like he always does. He gets out, he tries to turn to accelerate, and the watch gives him Ripjaws. He manages to jump on a fire truck on its way, and at this point he still has no idea what's going on. He gets there and finds out that there's an alien, or some kind of monster creature, whatever they call it, in this hotel.
It's called a Havoc Beast.
Well, yes, it's called the Havoc Beast, but that's not known at that point in the episode.
You don't have to worry about that.
Anyways,
You
so
called the guys at the end of the episode No Guardians.
So he ends up going in to fight this thing as Ripjaws after kind of just awkwardly moisturizing himself with the hose from the fire truck. And after laughing at the thing's minuscule size, it chucks a rock at him, and they have a bit of a tussle until Ripjaws gets his fish fried by this random old dude with a gun. Old guy gets crushed by a bookcase by the tiny alien, and it's then revealed that the old guy is Phil, who was... there's a lot of Discord notifications coming through at this moment.
Alright, I'll resume. Phil was Max's partner in the flashback during the beginning of the episode. And, yep, after when Ben, as Ripjaws, failed to stop the Havoc Beast, then Phil got out his gun and caught the Havoc Beast himself and locked it in his trunk of the car after he captures it. And then Max shows up, and they reminisce about the past a bit, and at this point Phil doesn't know that Ben has the Omnitrix, but he does see the Omnitrix, and he's like, that looks a little familiar.
And Max is like, come on kids, we gotta go.
When you think about it, because of the sequels, it's kind of a plot hole that he wasn't able to, even tell that it was plumber technology, because that's the Omnitrix symbol is what the plumber badges look like.
Despite the plumber badges not being seen until Alien Force.
Yeah. Anyway, my point is that he should have been able to say, hey, why do you have a plumber's badge on your wrist?
Hey, that's a cool watch, kid. That's his literal reaction to seeing the Omnitrix.
He just kind of gives it a little bit of a look, and then he doesn't really say much about it.
Anyways, they're heading away. Max is like, you guys don't have to know any more of my secrets, and Gwen gets salty about that. All of a sudden, Max's RV suddenly receives a signal from Phil saying that he's tracked down 2 Vulpamancers in a nearby meat processing facility. So they go there, and Ben decides to try and talk to the other Vulpamancers.
Which are wild mutts.
Yes. And after trying to communicate with them, Max unhelpfully mentions that Vulpamancers were never much for small talk, especially with their own kind, after Ben gets swatted away by one of them, which are like...
He did say especially with their own kind. He just said even with.
Even with their own kind. Either way. So, after a few minutes of Ben and the beasties trying to fight each other, Phil pulls out the Deus Ex Machina, which happens to be a thing that just makes really loud noises, that stops the Vulpamancers for a few seconds until they decide to swat it away and crush it.
Yeah, because Vulpamancers, normal dogs, they have hearing, and that device that Phil brought out.
They have enhanced hearing, yeah. Which, in the case of Vulpamancers, aka wild mutts, because they can't see, they especially depend on their
other senses.
other senses, especially hearing, which makes you wonder, what exactly does that look like to a Vulpamaster when there's just this high-pitched sound?
Like, they mostly rely on their noses to see, like in the episode where Ben got sick, Vulpman, Wildbutt was blind in that episode, just because his snot was clogged.
I suppose that does have something to do with it, but anyways, Max plows them into a corner with a I can't remember what, forklift. I can't believe I forgot what a forklift was for a second. Plows them into a room with a forklift and then manages to shut a door on them, which for some reason is able to hold them.
They're just big dogs.
But, like, one was literally able to pull on a giant mass of meat and break the chain it was connected to. How could they not throw themselves up against this
Well, maybe
door?
This door was kind of meant to, like, even stop cars. I don't know.
I wouldn't expect them to have something like that in a warehouse kind of setting. But anyways, Phil decides this is the start of a beautiful new partnership. Suddenly, they're in this hotel, even though it doesn't look like a hotel, it looks like a mansion. And Ben is stuffing his face with shrimp. From there, both Phil and Max end up leaving. Gwen gets salty about not knowing stuff again, and her and Ben decide to go find out where they've gone, leading to Mount Rushmore, where Max finds that a device known as the Null Void Projector is missing, and Phil is revealed to be, dun dun dun, the villain of the episode, which at the time I can imagine would have been like an actual surprise, but having seen the trope so many times before, it is kind of easy to just figure out early on that Max's distrust of him kind of reveals that little plot there.
It's honestly a pretty obvious twist overall.
But
especially with how much he was like earlier in the episode, this beast reminds me of the time when we caught a beast of the same species years ago.
Yeah. So it's revealed that Phil has just been releasing aliens they had caught previously from the Null Void Projector and getting people to pay him so that he could take care of them. Job security, he called it. That leads to him releasing something to attack Max. I forget what the heck he called it. It looks like something.
It's called a Wigzillion Orc Beast.
That. It seems like something that you would have found in the Nematrix, which I'm surprised they didn't have that in there just as like a callback to that episode.
I don't know.
It would have been a nice. Just would have been nice to see it, I guess, though I'm not sure how many people would have recognized it. Still kind of a missed opportunity. Anyways.
It just needed to the Null Void.
Yeah. So, Ben shows up, saving Max from being sent to the Null Void and having to deal with this monster. Ben tries fighting it while Max pulls out drawers in the wall as Phil makes his escape. Max finally finds the right lighter color drawer and pulls out what seemed like he pulls out this orb, and at that moment I thought Max is gonna go Pokemon trainer on this, and instead just tosses it, and it's like a gas bomb thing. It knocks the thing out, and Gwen is then revealed to be down in somewhere where both the Rust Bucket and Phil's car happen to be.
Basically, the plumber's parking lot.
Yeah. Gwen, being the genius that she is, decides to stow away in Phil's car while he comes out of the elevator. They leave, and then Max follows with some rockets that just pop out of the back of the rust bucket.
It's the rust bucket's turbo mode.
Okay.
He uses it in a couple of episodes.
After this point or before it?
In the negative 10 episode, Cooper even turbocharges it. Remember that?
I don't. It's honestly been a while since I'd watched the original series, aside from this episode earlier. And I don't know if I ever saw the series in its entirety. So there's probably a few things I missed.
Oh, okay. Anyway, just know that this mode of the rust bucket has been used a lot. It was even in the video game Protector of Earth,
which I never got to play. So from that point, Gwen tries to steal the null void projector and forgets that rear view mirrors are a thing. Phil almost hits a truck, and then he sets his car to autopilot, because that's a thing that even a secret alien hunter organization would have in the early 2000s. And then wrestles with Gwen for the gun, accidentally opening another portal to the Null Void, which releases a giant Null Void Guardian. Did you say it was?
It's called a Null Guardian in Alien Force, but in the trivia version of it, back with the Vengeance, they called it Null Voiders.
So
you can say either or, I guess.
So Null Voider escapes, and Ben decides he needs some muscle. The Omnitrix, not for the first time this episode, decides Ben is wrong and gives him gray matter. He then jumps on to the Null Voider's back, says something that he doesn't understand despite having a relatively bigger brain in this form. Grabs on a couple of quills on its back and manages to control it, smashing it into Phil's car and almost knocking them off of a bridge. From there, Phil gives the spiel about we could be a great team after like the 10th time this episode. And Ben says, no thanks, this hero isn't for hire. Gwen realizes that the vehicle's rearview mirror is back and it's been broken off. She tosses it to Ben just in time to reflect the Null Void projector beam back onto Phil, and he basically dies because he's never seen again.
Yeah, sure, we'll go with that. He shows up again in later episodes.
Okay.
Do you even remember that?
No, I don't. I already mentioned that I probably missed a bit of the series in my first...
He shows up again in Omniverse for multiple episodes.
Well, that's practically never. Not in the original series, anyways. I wasn't technically wrong.
Well, what were you saying the pattern that started happening again?
I said because Omniverse is technically different from the original series, I wasn't completely wrong in saying that he doesn't show up again.
Anyway,
my
thoughts on the episode. I think it's pretty cool. I really like the fight between the Rip Jaws and the Havoc Beast. That's the highlight for me.
My highlight was, and this is probably just me being the nerd that I am, I really liked the music, especially at the one point in the, and I didn't mean to cut you off before, when they were fighting the Vulpemancers in the meat processing factory, where there's that little bit of the do-do-do-do-do-do-do, but it was that kind of like hard synth kind of sound. It really it reminded me of the soundtrack of Portal.
Okay.
Just different moments in the audio design and the music, which is, of course, always been a big part of Ben 10. I just really appreciated how it managed to emphasize and punctuate different parts and just make everything better than it already was.
Yeah, I didn't watch the episode in HD, but I'm really happy that the audio design still sounded pretty high quality on the version I watched. Yeah, the audio design in Ben 10 is just, it's amazing. I love it.
It's great how timeless it ends up being, because you never think, oh, this is dated music.
The only thing I would maybe change is like some of the music tones that play during gags. Like, I did think that it was funny whenever we saw it starting to rain while the fire department was talking with the mayor of the city or whatever. It was like it started to rain, and then we see on top of the fire truck there was just Ripjaws getting a drink from the water hose.
Yeah.
I got about 10 minutes left before I have to end the episode, so yeah. Phil is, pretty one-dimensional character in this episode, but he gets pretty interesting in the later appearances in Omniverse.
That tends to happen a lot with characters that, at least originally, were one-off and not expected to return.
I do really like his scheme, though. It was just like, I use this gun to release aliens. I catch it. I get paid money. Easy money. It's a good scam.
It's a good scam, but at the same time, it's... At least now
Still
it seems
dangerous.
like a tired thing, but, like... It does also seem extremely dangerous, because you saw how easily the Vulpamancers just smashed his sonic thing. What if that happened with something a lot more dangerous that couldn't be held by a thin sheet of metal?
Yeah, if Max wasn't there, Phil would have been dog food.
I don't know if you would have even attempted it without Ben, but then again, he kind of just had that happen to make sure he knew what the Omnitrix was. Or that
Yeah.
Ben had it.
Maybe if Ben wasn't there, he would have been more prepared.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, do you want to talk about just what we think happened in the past with all the plumber history and whatnot?
I don't think I'm properly educated on the series enough to speculate about that sort of thing.
Okay. I guess I'll just say then that, like, what I was wondering when I was watching the flashback was if... Well, not really when I was watching the flashback, but with their comments about the Omnitrix. In the beginning of the episode, we hear Max say that he was just as surprised as Gwen was when he saw the thing on Ben's wrist. He only heard, like, rumors about the Omnitrix and scuttlebutt. Meanwhile, Phil, he was able to partially recognize it and what it looked like. So that made me wonder, have they ever been to Galvan Prime before this episode? Because, that symbol is all around Galvan Prime, even in the original series. We don't see Galvan Prime in the original series, but we do see Asmith, who, had it all over his clothing, his robot suit. So yeah, that symbol is like the symbol of Galvan Prime, and then the plumbers later adopted it pretty much. So it made me wonder about that, and if Phil has ever even been to space, because we know Max has been to space at least, but we still don't know much about Phil. Even in his later appearances, we don't really learn anything about his history with Max.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's all I have to say since you don't really want to talk about it.
Yeah, there's just not much that I can think of to talk about it.
Yeah. If you were to make any changes to this episode, what would you change?
I suppose I would try to make Phil a little more interesting, maybe not make it quite as predictable, give him a better reason to be doing what he's doing than just reliving the glory
money.
days and trying to get easy money.
Like, we don't know, like, what he's living like. Like, okay, we do see his house in the episode, and it does look like he's pretty wealthy because of, hunting all the aliens, getting good money from it. But, like, we don't know how he was doing before he got that nice house with the autopilot on his car.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I wonder if he ever dealt in the black market with stolen plumber tech.
Like, he was not... He was still a nice dude, honestly. Like, even whenever he was like, it's a shame, we could have been a great team, and then he tried to kill Max in the episode, he was still, like, kind of nice about it, the way he was talking. I don't know. I don't think he's, like, completely evil down to the core, at least in the original series. Because, like, again, in Omniverse, Max still, like, he looks at Phil as his friend even in Omniverse after he tried to kill him. He still, like, wanted to help him after his thing happened to him that I'm not going to spoil.
Okay.
Yep. So, like, I don't believe that Phil is completely evil, is my point.
Well, no, I wasn't trying to imply he's completely evil, but just, like, he would have to do a lot of jobs to try and get that much money for that nice house and that sort of stuff. I was just thinking, like, little deals here and there, selling some tech to make some extra money.
Who knows, maybe he was secretly also Forever Knight at one point. Alright, I think this is a good point to end this podcast off. Where can people find you again?
They can find me at my YouTube channel, Paradox Multimedia. I also have, somewhat unironically, a SoundCloud, DeviantArt I haven't touched in a while, and that's pretty much it. I have a Twitter, but I don't really do much on that.
Okay. Whatever links you want people to click on, just send them to me.
Alright.
Alright, that's the end of this episode of the Ben 10 podcast. See you guys probably another month or two from now. I'm working on videos, guys. I'm working on a video about 5 years later right now, and also a video about Clockwork. Stay tuned for those.
That'll be interesting to see.
Alright. Bye.
Bye.